There is a podcast no one asked for. A podcast you never knew you didn't want. 3 beers in. This is the podcast.
I anticipate a deeply religious experience.
Welcome back, everyone, to another episode of 3 Beers In. With us today,
this is Tony.
This is Clint.
Joel's there, and the man who proves that not all mistakes have a silver lining, Cutter.
Yeah, right here. Right here.
And today's a very special episode because we are on location at Jester King with Jeff Stuffings.
Hello, everybody.
Hey. Yeah. So for people that aren't familiar with Jester King, right off the bat, what should they know?
I would say that, we're a self-proclaimed farmhouse brewery. And, to us, that means making beers that are tied to this place, tied to the time, tied to the people, beers that are, if you ask me what is a farmhouse ale, I would say a beer that is connected to local agriculture, connected to, the seasons that we brew in, and then, like I said, reflections of the individuals here. Agrarian-based beers, forage-based beers that try to be a reflection of our environment. To me, that's a farmhouse ale, and that's what we've been striving for the last 8 years now.
So hyper-local, is that something that you would use to describe yourself? Really?
I would say more kind of parts of what we do are hyper-local, but I would say even more just kind of like regionally based. Like we're trying to reflect, Central Texas and then really Texas as a whole.
In general? Okay.
Yep.
And do you see that you correct people when they say, oh, this is a sour beer? Do you try to push them more into the farmhouse?
Yeah, how is that? Because that's come up plenty of times when we've had sours and we've talked about, and then somebody will say, oh, Jester King, they do sours, right?
Yes.
So how do you feel about that?
The straight answer is yes, absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
I don't get too bent out of shape about it. It's fine. I mean, if people are excited about like sour beer and it's a moniker that's pretty accessible. With that said, I prefer, either farmhouse or wild ale. And those can be two separate things as well. But we don't seek or set out to create like just a beer with like straight up acidity.
Right.
To me, that's like a chef trying to just like, I'm going to make the most like sour dish or bitter dish or sugary dish. Like, I see acidity as a component part of a overall cohesive, drinkable beer. Like what I'd try to, and this is more of a, you can't just knock it out with like a phrase or a word, but like, if you think about beer historically, like all beer was wild,
Right.
Sure.
Right.
Beer's been around for 20,000 years, pure culture fermentation has been around for like 150 years approximately. So vast majority of time, all beer was wild. Like, your milds, your IPAs, your bitters, like if you didn't drink that super fresh, it was going to start to turn sour. And then like some little, offshoots of brewing history embraced that kind of funk and acidity that you'd get, whether it be like, the Flanders red ale tradition or the lambic tradition. And so we've just drawn inspiration partially from, the brewing world that has embraced acidity, lambic, and then also from, farmhouse brewers, which I would argue is just as much about like dryness, bitterness, attenuation, and interesting yeast character as it is about, acid driven beers. So yeah, I do get frustrated from time to time when people say, oh, they're a sour brewery. Like the first beer we're going to taste here has, for me, like no perceived acidity.
Right. Yeah, because the sour, you're just thinking sour, but to a farmhouse, it's way more complex. There's just so much more to it, right?
I think that's fair, yeah.
Okay. All right, so you guys want to pop our first one?
Yeah, let's do it.
Absolutely.
So first up, we have Le Petit Prince.
You said this is your table beer. What is a table beer?
Sure. So table beers, very old style of beer. You can argue that table beer has had historical importance on a practical level. Centuries ago when water sources weren't trustworthy to drink.
Right.
People drink, table beer, like low alcohol, 1 or 2% beers. People didn't know it at the time, but because the beer had been boiled, it was safe to drink.
Right.
Our inspiration, we take a lot of inspiration from classic European farmhouse breweries, like one of them being DuPont.
Right, yeah.
DuPont makes a beer. Obviously, everyone knows like Saison DuPont, but they also make this beer called Avril, which is basically like a baby version of Saison DuPont. It's like 3% alcohol. And so this beer is heavily inspired by Avril. So it's very simple. It's like 80% malted barley and then like 20% malted wheat. Saws and Golding hops, so kind of earthy.
Yeah, that sauce really comes through.
Yeah. And then like everything we do, it's either spontaneously fermented or a mixed culture.
Okay.
So in this case, this is one of our mixed culture beers, and it's just a blend of a couple, classic strains of brewer's yeast, like what purportedly is the DuPont strain, as well as the Thierry strain, which is a small Northern European, Northern France farmhouse brewery. And then just a bunch of stuff we just caught from the air and from the land around Jester King, dregs from some of our cool ship batches, just plants and wildflowers that we cultured yeast and bacteria off the skins of, and just created this mix where it's just, I would estimate, hundreds of different microbes just kind of working in concert. We kind of play with variables like time, temperature, hopping rates, fermentation vessel. And this is so basically, if you're talking about like levers that we kind of balance acidity with, this is not that old a beer. It's like a 3-week fermentation.
Okay.
Pretty bitter, like 20 to 30 IBU. Stainless steel fermentation, and not barrel aged. So dry and bitter is the MO with this beer.
So it's not crazy at all. You're doing all the mixed cultures, but that's as far as it goes because you're still fermenting in steel, not wood, and it's not aged. So it's a fresh beer, unlike some of your other beers, which you're aging for multiple months.
Exactly.
You had the 3-year blend, is that what you had earlier?
Yep. Yeah, I really like that one.
Thank you. Yeah. So that's going to be kind of the opposite end of the spectrum, where that beer is 100% spontaneously fermented. So we chill the wort overnight in a cool ship, introduce wild yeast and bacteria, just let nature ferment it.
How easy is it to remake a beer when you're doing spontaneous fermentation and that kind of thing?
Very difficult.
Keep the flavor profile very similar.
Yeah, we basically guarantee that we'll never make the same batch twice. Which is
I was wondering. Yeah, seems like
which is why you have to come out every year for the new batch of spawn.
But yeah, I mean, natural variation. I mean, if you ask me like what are some of my favorite beers and say favorite breweries, I'll talk about beers that are like very technically precise. They're like perfectly dialed in, and you just know what to expect every time, and that's awesome. We're kind of at the opposite end of the spectrum, and I'll never say it's better or worse.
There's something to be said about that. It's always something new. It's like you can't get bored with this because this new batch is going to just be a little bit different.
Yeah, and a little
exciting.
I like kind of not being fully in the driver's seat when it comes to making beer, just kind of being, one of our biggest inspirations, Jean Benoit from Brasserie Cantillon in Brussels, talks about how, his quote is like, I'm a companion of the beer. Like the beer is ultimately deciding which way it's going to go, and I'm just kind of along for the ride. And that's how we feel with our beer. Like we create an environment for it, but otherwise just let nature dictate what the beer is going to be like, and then accept the natural variation we get along the way.
Well, you're definitely getting all the right places. Like we're seeing everywhere online where people are trading for your beers are coming from way far outside of Austin just for this experience.
How far do you guys distribute? Like how far do you guys get out?
So we've sent a little bit of beer all around the world, really. Okay. We sell about 2/3 of our beer right at the brewery, thanks to beer laws allowing brew pubs to sell on site and to go.
Well, we could get into beer laws.
I know. Yeah, exactly. And then
I mean, it's because not to interrupt.
That's right.
Isn't it because of you, or you were one of the driving force to change the beer laws concerning labeling?
You're right. We were part of a lawsuit in 2011, I think it was, with Zach's Restaurant and Bar, and just over the river in South Austin, as well as Authentic Beverages, which is a local import company. And the three of us got together, and we just thought it was silly. I mean, there are rules that said like if it's over 5%, you can't call it beer, which is just false.
Right. And that was it. That's
and then there were also laws that said like you can't tell people where to find your beer, which is just,
that is just dumb. That's
And so thankfully a judge agreed with us, and now you can call beer regardless of its alcohol content. But the thing, and not to go down the rabbit hole of beer law stuff.
We could spend an hour.
I know. The thing that was really, I mean, just as a quick aside, the thing that was really helpful for us was 2013. The law changed to let brew pubs sell beer on site. For the first 3 years, we opened in 2010. So the first 3 years, people would come out here. We could pour free samples. We could sell them a T-shirt, but we could not sell them beer.
Couldn't you sell them a really expensive T-shirt and then here's a bottle?
we did stuff like we would sell them like a pint glass for like $10 that includes like 3 pours or something, which our worry though is that the TABC, Texas Alcoholic Beverage Commission, would say that would be like a shadow sale. So there was always like that fear of pushing it too far.
Yeah, no, that makes sense.
Better just to change the law and live peacefully.
Do it legally, But you were talking about
the distribution.
distributing.
Because there's people from all over the world that come to Austin looking for your brewery,
Jester King,
which is incredible to me.
Yeah, no, I'm pretty blown away by it. I mean, we've sought out to do something unique, something that, granted, not everyone's going to love, but I think is something that we're proud of. And to do it authentically, to put forward what we do in a forthright manner, and then create a nice environment for people to hang out and enjoy beer, which to me is the ultimate social beverage. And fortunately, it's gained a little bit of traction.
And you have an amazing environment out here.
Thank you.
This property.
You have, how many acres do you have now?
Altogether, it's 165 now.
So, and now you have your own farm, and what are you growing out there for?
Primarily fruit right now. We love adding fruit to beer and kind of blurring the lines between wine and beer. And so a lot of different types of fruits like figs and plums and peaches and grapes. And then we have a restaurant now, so it's kind of herbs and spices and vegetables for the restaurant as well. It's only a year old, so it's pretty early on. But
did I see you had some hop vines out there? Or?
Yes, we're installing a trellis system to see. So that would be the one traditional ingredient that we can't. And so they don't really like growing in Texas, really, right? Or that's certainly the conventional wisdom, but we're going to see. I mean, there are hops that grow.
Maybe you'll have Jester King hops.
That's our hope.
Your new strain that everybody's going to want.
It's going to be very small volume, even if we're successful, and that's a big if. But
it takes a lot to grow a good amount of hops, right?
Absolutely, yeah. And what we're hoping is we selected a varietal. It's called Neo Mexicanus. It does grow in the wild in both Texas and New Mexico, and so. Will it take off here? I don't know, but at least it is like heat, drought, and pest resistant. So we think at least has a chance. And I guess philosophically, like whatever those if they're successful, whatever they taste like, we'll take them and make beer with them.
And then we
want them to be a reflection of what's here.
Exactly.
But if we're successful, at that point we'll be making 100% Texas beer because we're using just natural well water, just straight from beneath our feet. We have a close relationship with Blacklands Malt. So, Texas farmers, Texas malted grain, and then wild yeast.
Yeah,
and so,
it's in the air.
So, this year we actually made our first. It was not hops grown here, but we've just basically found some home brewers growing hops in their backyard. And over the last 3 years, we've been able to buy enough hops just from people growing them in their backyards to be able to make our first 100% Texas beer, which was just brewed.
Very cool.
Yeah, just brewed.
Oh, wow.
What's the name of that one?
Texas Pete.
It's a spawn beer. So I don't know if it'll be, something, I kind of had like native spawn or spawn native is kind of a working title. But it's just a working title.
We'll see when it comes out.
Yeah. Working title.
There it is.
Working title beer.
So I was reading that your hops that you age them in your barn, so what is it? Why?
Oh, sure.
Why do you? I mean, most people want to use hops as fresh as possible, right? Or
and we do too for some of our beers. Like Petite Prince is one of those beers where we do want fresh hops. We want dry, earthy, bitter, like hoppy beer. Like inspirations being from I mentioned Saison DuPont, like Thierry Extra or De La Seine Terrace Bulba. Like these dry, bitter beers are what we're after. For the beers that are spontaneously fermented, we're very much inspired by the lambic tradition. And then that's why we use the aged hops to kind of provide flavor and aroma, but also to provide just a natural microbial barrier to keep that beer in decent shape as it ages in a barrel for 3 years.
Right. Is it that when you're using Brett, or when you want something to have a strong Brett character, you don't want a strong hop presence, right? Or
I'd say it kind of depends on what the brewer's after. I kind of like bready beers that are also hoppy
as well. Okay.
I mean, I could see some people saying that's a bit of a clash, but other than I would say like fruit forward beers, I kind of like bitterness and everything.
I agree.
Like goose. I think a lot of people don't recognize like that. Typically, I've seen like, people do analysis of goose. It's like 25, 30 IBU beer. Like it's got pronounced bitterness. Right. And, I like hazy IPA. I'm not knocking it, but I do need to stand up for like bitterness in beer.
Yeah.
Like, especially being in a hot weather environment. Like I think bitterness lends to drinkability. And
it adds a bit of dryness.
Especially
you don't
during
want
the
it
summer, I'd say.
like a sticky, cloying kind of thing when you're out in the heat, right?
Yeah. I mean, I think to kind of summarize our flavor profiles, we're either dry and bitter or dry and tart. That's kind of what we do.
Yeah, and it's something we talk about a lot on the podcast. We each have our own preferences that we like to lean towards. Flavor profiles, yeah. I'm more of like a stout and like a heavier. Clint is not hoppy.
Milk,
Exactly.
milk and beer.
Milk is not a beer. No.
He'll take down a stout, though.
Yeah.
And we don't make any pastry stouts or imperial stouts.
Oh, no.
But we we recognize the popularity of them, and we are a business. So like we actually had an event in December. We called it Doomforge Day. Actually, I'm sorry, it was January. And we just basically procured all because we can sell guest beer. So we found as many pastry stouts as we could from friends in our area, and just had we paired a bunch of big sludgy, stouts with some doom metal.
Yeah,
and that was a lot of fun.
Sounds amazing.
You talked about some of your friends during right around Christmas time. We actually did a collaboration episode, and we sent a collaboration beer with you and Jolly Pumpkin.
Oh, cool.
Olas Especiales.
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Right on. Cool.
They loved it. I mean, because they can't get
They
anything
were up
great
in Canada, so
so it's Molson's
broke
we didn't send them that.
That's
beer.
right.
We described it to them. Very
Yeah.
And then we had, because you guys have done that twice, haven't you?
Yeah, we did Space Waves here, which it's funny the inspirations behind beer. That was actually inspired by Sonic Cherry Limeade.
Oh yeah,
That's awesome.
I get it. Yeah. No, I totally get it because it's the lime and the cherry. Yeah. Okay.
Yep.
I didn't think about that. Wow.
But we got them one, and then we had Gamma Deluxe down here also.
Oh yeah, cool.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Didn't send that though. That was a great one.
Yeah. So,
but they couldn't put your name on the bottle. Is it?
Oh yeah, silly
Another-
TBC rules. Yeah, I don't even. That one's real wonky. I don't even, but yeah, stupid rules.
Yeah.
So in terms of bitterness profile, this is probably this is the edge for me. This is as bitter as I could go before you get over into the territory
I think
where I'm
this is
IPAs. No thanks. No.
I get a lot of that barley flavor on it, but it's I enjoy barley, so it's not a big deal. But yeah,
this might be one of the
very dry. It's very, very
bitterest
dry.
Jester King beers that I've ever had. Maybe it's because there's not a whole lot of other stuff going on in it.
I think that's fair. Yeah.
Yeah, it's very clean and
Clean bitterness,
not
really,
a lot of other things going on with it, and then you have that hoppy bitter finish to it.
Yeah, and I think what adds to the kind of pronounced nature of the bitterness is that it finishes at about 0 Plato. So it's essentially the same density as water.
Yeah.
The first step I had earlier was like barley water. This is it's like, but I can see this pairing really well with food, and that's what I originally thought the table beer was, but it's like a food beer.
I think that's part of it. I think that's fair. I think it's just everyday drinking beer.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Tony, Joe, what are y'all thinking about Le Petit Prince?
Definitely like it. I'm a huge fan of the story Petit Prince, so that it adds extra points to it as well. I think I would kind of mirror what Ross said. Like whenever I've been here before, I always gravitate towards the heavier fruit flavors.
Yeah.
Sure.
But this is great. I would drink this totally. I would probably go to the other ones first, just because.
Sure.
There's just so many exciting things on the menu right now.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Right on. Speaking of which, do you want me to open up?
Sure.
Let's go ahead.
There's not even any mushrooms in this. What is going on?
What I'm opening is Spawn 2018.
Nice.
Syrah and Cab Sauv. So this is, as I recall, I think it was a 3-year blend. Yeah. So this is beer from 2015, 16, and 17.
Nice. Okay.
That was spontaneously fermented in that lambic tradition, blended and then re-fermented with 2 varieties of grapes, Cab Sauv and Syrah, both Texas grown. So re-fermented on fruit. So, a good amount of the fermentable sugar is coming from fruit. A good amount of the fermentable sugar came from grain. So it's kind of a hybrid of beer and wine. again, very classically inspired, like St. Lemvinus from like Cantillon is one of my all-time favorite beers. And yeah, this beer is very much in that vein. Yeah. So just an exercise in patience and fermentation and agriculture.
Right. There's cork it as well as cap it?
I've never seen that before.
There's a lot of wineries out here for the listeners that are not from Texas. Yeah.
There you go.
Within an hour, there's quite a few like going out towards Fredericksburg and
all wine country out there.
Yeah, we as far as the cap and cork, I mean, these are beers that we hope would cellar well for literally decades. I mean, speaking of the lambic tradition.
Oh man, who could save it for a decade?
Yeah, right. But I was very fortunate. We did an event in Brussels, and when I was there, I visited Cantillon and got to try the original bottling of Blue Pepe Creek from 1996, and it was still super fresh and delicious despite being multiple decades old.
Yeah.
I was going to ask if these could age like that, like wine does.
Absolutely.
Do you yourself have a few of these bottles that are waiting?
Yeah.
We do. We have a little cellar here in our barrel room, and we age beer. Really, just kind of keeping a catalog of what we've done.
Yeah.
Being able to pull stuff out from various ages or vintages, if you will, and see how they've progressed. And so it's part kind of being able to know our beer better and see how it matures with time, and part being able to just, when we have visitors to the brewery, just let them kind of sample some stuff that's quite old and
taste some of the aged stuff just to check it out.
Yeah.
Is there anything that that is like a particularly good year?
Yeah.
Oh, I would say we're too young to be able to do that because we've been cellaring spontaneously fermented beer since 2016. So it's only like 3 years old.
So more about the spontaneous fermentation. What really made you really go whole hog into that? Because before that, you were doing a lot of mixed cultures. Were you doing just like straight brewerage yeast?
I was gonna ask. It's all like. How long have you been doing this? Did you start as a home brewer? Did you kind of go from that? Or
started home brewing in I think it was 2005.
Yeah.
Went to Austin Homebrew. Just got a kit there, and
which you were working there when you were trying to start up Jester King,
yes,
right?
That's right. Yeah. It was cool because it was a way to, at the time, you had some of the local brewers. Like I remember folks from like 512 and Real Ale and Independence and Lovejoy's coming in to buy ingredients there, and so. Yeah, it was a chance to meet other brewers and kind of get like a little bit of a, dip my toe into that professional brewing community. And then, having, essentially no money, getting a discount on ingredients was huge to be able to just experiment.
Yeah.
But HS was a great experience. And I left Austin Homebrew and started working on Jester King in 2007. It took 3 years to open.
Yeah.
So we opened in 2010, and now we're 8 years old.
Nice.
You had asked. So as far as our beginning, so we initially from right off the bat did both mixed culture and pure culture fermentation.
Right.
So we did a couple beers. We did like a rye IPA and an English mild and an imperial stout that were brewed with English ale yeast.
Right.
But then, I think I just kind of like learned more about farmhouse brewing and kind of what it means to be.
There's so much variety there.
Yeah, and I felt like if we're going to truly be an authentic farmhouse brewery, it should be wild beer. And that again doesn't have to mean sour,
right?
But it should be just, like Yvon Debates of Brasserie de la Seine, like when in his, beautiful writings about Saison and in Phil Markowski's Farmhouse Ales talks about like this certain like indescribable feature or character of Saison, which, he attributed to, wild yeast. And I wholeheartedly agree with that. And so, I just think that, there should be a little bit of rustic character. Because, these are not like carefully engineered beers. These are like beers from just like people's cellars or
whatever they had at the time.
Exactly.
Whatever they were growing on the farm, they just threw in there.
Yeah.
And then whatever was in the air, whatever was in their barrel that they were using or whatever utensils they were using.
Whatever was on their horse blankets.
There you go. Yeah.
All ends up
dip it in there. Just like a tea bag. I've
kind of already said this, but like, rustic beers that are tied to place. And for that purpose, I feel like the biggest contributor to that is the microflora. Like when I take people on tours of the brewery, I'm like, okay, if there's one takeaway, it's that we're embracing the microbes around the brewery to make our beer. And for instance, like every winter we'll take some wort we'll truck it out to some of the wineries in our area. We went to a place called Cruz de Comal to the south of us near Wimberley. It's the same recipe, but the character of the beer we're getting from that like remote cruise ship inoculation is totally different than what we're getting right here. So
area.
And I mean, the winemakers have known this for years, like the whole concept of terroir. I mean, yes, it's the soil, yes, it's the climate, but I think as people are discovering more and more, it's the microbes that are on the skin of the grapes in these little pockets of environment.
Yeah, those Wimberley people have a lot of microbes. Got you on that.
So before you were homebrewing, you went to law school, right?
I did.
Were you practicing law?
I did. I worked for the public defender for a couple of years, and then sold out and worked at a law firm, and that was the beginning of the end of that career.
So you were struggling, trying to be a lawyer, and it's like, this isn't working for me. You said, I want the glitz, I want the glamour. I'm going to be a professional brewer. Is that basically how it went?
Jeff Stuffings rock star.
I just, like a lot of people, I think I just, wanted an environment that I enjoyed going to work every day.
Oh, yeah,
a good culture.
Definitely.
Mixed cultures.
I think, I don't know, the appeal of, and it wasn't just like wanting to, be my own boss or whatever the cliche is. It was more just like doing something I could be proud of and being part of an environment that I thought was more uplifting and
creating maybe.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I was just, my job at the time was just like someone would plop down a big box of papers and I'd like review this. I'm like, okay, great.
8 hours later.
So that was just, it was within like essentially a month of having that job that I'm like, I got to find a way out of this job.
Wow.
I'll set the building on fire.
And looking around at the time, there was Real Ale, there was Independence, there was Live Oak, there were brew pubs like North by Northwest, Lovejoy's, Uncle Billy's had just opened, 512 had just opened, and so there was already like very good beer. But I was like looking at other parts of the country and I'm like, man, there's very good breweries in Austin, but there's like not that many like relative to other cities. So I felt like there was an opportunity to grow. And sure enough, I don't know if this is true or not, but like the Houston Chronicle, when we opened, called us the 12th brewery to open in Texas.
Wow.
And now there's like 250 and counting. Yeah. So sure enough, it has grown.
Yeah. Okay.
We've talked about that on the podcast where it seems like since 2010, 11, there's been this influx of boom. Breweries. Do you have a feel for maybe why that has been? Is it the people that are wanting it, demanding it, or is there something in political or
something in the water?
Environment? Yeah, something in the water.
I think it's part of just like a national cultural phenomenon where people have kind of wanted to have that little bit more connection to place and what they consume, whether it be food or drink, and just connection to agriculture, and instead of just having Wonder Bread or something, one or two or three brands for a whole population. People I think have discovered that like it's not an insane amount of money to be able to enjoy something that is unique and pleasureful and thought provoking. And thankfully, I think that's caught on to kind of like taking like commoditization of everything, and like at least for food and drink, breaking it down. And it's still like I'm kind of picking this number out of the air, but it's still like I would say like 80% of the market that's, if not greater, that's still like just 3 brands.
Right.
But there's like a little like resistance, if you will. Like there's 1 out of 10 or 2 out of 10 people who are like, no, I want something that's like unique to my environment that has character. And thankfully beer has kind of latched onto that. Although, I see the growth of beer just by the sheer nature of it having to slow down. I don't think it's going to just go away either.
Yeah.
Yeah, but there is going to be a point at which you hit like a market saturation.
Yeah, and I think we're there, if not already past that point. I mean, we've just had a couple thousand, it seems like I think like 12 or 1,500 breweries opening per year. It's like, I think it's like 2 breweries a day is what we've been averaging or something like that.
And and when you get to that level, we've had this discussion many times. Like how do you differentiate yourself? How do you make yourself stand out so that you can actually exist in this environment of kind of oversaturation of the market?
Yeah.
Well, I think the next step is really just to sell out to the super majors.
We've also
Heineken. It's like Beavertown.
Yeah, the one that hit us the hard. I mean, I've talked about this a lot as well, just in my own writings and talkings. But the one that hit us really hard was Wicked Weed. And we're very good friends with them on a personal level still. But like, that to me was like a loss.
Didn't you pin that open letter? I don't know if it was on your Facebook or.
Yeah, we put out a statement. It wasn't like a letter to them, but it was just like our thoughts on it.
Right.
And, to me, that was almost like, I look back on that period and I feel like I was naive thinking like, we're all in this together.
Right.
Like we're this little like, scrappy band of upstarts that are like doing cool stuff. And then, maybe this is a stupid analogy, but I thought of it like I have a little daughter who, is into like, pop culture movies, and one of her favorite movies is Trolls. And there's like this opening scene where like all the trolls are like partying in the forest and having a great time. And all of a sudden, like one of the ogres, the Bergens, like come in, like parts the trees and like snatches one up and like eats it. And to me, that's how it felt like when like Wicked Weed was bought.
Yeah.
Like we were all just like having this great party, enjoying being craft brewers. And all of a sudden, like one of us just got like snatched up and eaten. And that like shocked us. And in hindsight, we should have seen it coming. I mean, these are, it's business. It happens all the time.
Right.
But like that was like, again, like a loss of innocence where I felt like, oh man, this is not the same anymore.
Yeah.
And
this is real.
Yeah. And I think you've kind of, as it gets more competitive out there, I think you've seen more brewers kind of resorting to, bigger beer tactics, and not that this is like terrible stuff, but check out our new can size, check out our new like bottle packaging, like, less about like, gimmicks, less about what's actually in the glass.
Right.
And,
it's kind of like the craft beer industry has matured.
Yeah.
Before, it's like, yes, we're a business, but we're also just mostly like doing this because this is something we love. And now it's taking that next step to where like the business is driving it almost more than the love of what you're doing.
Right.
For some brewers.
For some, for sure. And even within, Wicked Weed, I on some level talk a lot of shit about, but I'm super close with them, and they know that I still like them very much personally. I mean, their beer is still truly excellent. I mean, my concern.
I had a few of them. They're pretty good.
Yeah, my concern wasn't that that all of a sudden the quality of their beer was going to suck. It was more about where is ultimately the money going, and we get very frustrated. This loops us back around to Texas beer law, and the big brewers and their distributors routinely try to make sure there's laws that make it hard for small brewers to survive. That sucks. And so that's why it's not like I would gladly enjoy like objectively a Wicked Weed beer. It's delicious, but like I'd rather send my money to small independent producers who support the success of craft beer versus trying to like masquerade as craft and essentially it's like in The Simpsons. There was there's an episode where like Duff beer, there's like Duff.
Oh, the three, Duff Dry, Duff, and Diet Duff.
And it's like it's all coming from one tank.
The one tube, yeah.
And it's true. Like you go to an airport or something, or like a baseball stadium, and you see like 8 handles that are all like bright and shiny and look cool, but it's all going to the same company, and so it's like the illusion of choice and that like deception and lack of authenticity drives me crazy. So that's my little feelings on
we
there it is. We got a rant, guys.
No, we enjoy it. We love it. We often have peaceful arguments about what craft beer really means.
True.
Yeah. So,
both on and off air.
Yeah. And so sometimes it's just tough to just know the definition, to know what's going on with is it craft beer? Is Shiner craft beer? Can we still like this beer even though they got their own 50% by Heineken? I don't know.
I think you can still like it. Yeah, I mean, there's
and that takes us into like the question of like, you can have your position on it and all that, but like, what's the big 3 beer that you have in your fridge at home right now? Do you have one?
Yeah.
Here we go.
I always have Live Oak Pills. I think as someone who makes wild ales, I gravitate towards what we don't do. Beers that are very carefully engineered and very consistent. And, again, I like bitter. And Live Oak Pills to me has like a beautiful malt character. They do the single decoction with like the Czechvar malt.
Yeah.
So that's my favorite Pilsner. I always have that. I usually always have, I always have usually some, it's just kind of one of those, my nostalgic beer is actually Dogfish Head.
Oh, there you go.
Because up until that point, I went to school in New England, and up until that point, I was just drinking natural light. Yeah. And so like my first kind of gateway craft beer was Dogfish Head, 60 minutes. So usually that's where maybe my dad, his nostalgic beer was like Coors Light.
Yeah.
My nostalgic beer is kind of Dogfish 60. So I usually have that around. And then those are my only really two staples. From there, usually it's just some just a beer from friends, as well as cider and wine.
Yeah.
I mean, anything that's got kind of a cool fermentation character, I gravitate towards.
So Miller High Life is.
We hear High Life a lot when we ask that question to brewers.
They say MGD.
What is of the three
the macro
major guys? What is the one of theirs that you actually still drink? Or do you not?
Or maybe it was the last one you had.
Maybe I sound like a little bit too curmudgeon-y, but going back to, I'm just so offended by the industry tactics and the politics of those beers that I mean, if it's the only option and I want a beer, I'll drink it. But otherwise, I just don't.
You're not going to turn it down at a barbecue, right?
No, exactly. I'll go to a birthday party. My daughter's
exactly,
and then they hand me a Coors Light. Yeah, I'll drink that. But I just
your daughter's serving Coors Light.
But no, I mean, I would never
raised you better
unless I'm I need a beer and there's no other option. I will never buy their stuff. Not because I think Coors Light, whatever. It's not Bud Light. It's kind of crappy, but but
you don't have to say kind of.
It's just more just seeing what they do to try to hold back Texas beer.
To the industry it just
pisses me off to a level where I cannot support them.
No, I understand. Yeah.
Well, and having a lawyer background, you probably have a larger insight into the tactics that they're trying to pull and stuff, and the laws that they're trying to manipulate and things like that.
A little bit, but I would say just for anyone tuned into our industry, it's very apparent what they do between one of the examples that we've witnessed is the Bud House in Texas. Benny Keith. They'll go into a bar and they'll redo their draft system. Like a $5,000 install, and there's this wink wink deal that you're going to stock at least 5 or 6 of our beers now, right? So it's just dirty tactics.
It's all Blue Moon.
That are technically illegal, but it's hard to prove.
Well, we'll try to get the distributors to see it on your side, the Texas legislature.
Yeah, I mean, I remember a meeting back in the day where a representative of one of the groups, either the Beer Alliance or Wholesale Beer Distributors of Texas, came and spoke to us, and this is 2010, and I appreciated the honesty. He's like, we're going to fight you for every bottle. And and I'm like, gee, thanks for being honest. It was just so
thanks for the heads up.
Yeah.
I will fight you for every bottle as well.
Every square space on that HEB shelf, we're gonna try to get.
Yeah, and sadly, it's like. It's like Congress, where if we're whatever party we are, if we're for something, they're against it, no matter just out of principle.
Because it's different teams.
Yeah, wow. Exactly. Yeah.
Speaking of teams, I don't know where it's at right now, but
Steelers,
had heard not Steelers with soccer instead.
Arsenal
had heard that the Austin MLS team, they were pushing in the stadium to have all Austin local beers.
Oh, great!
I'm not sure where that's at, but I know they were trying to push the whole idea of the 5-8 brewery district right outside of the soccer stadium, and we mostly live.
Yeah,
we all live up north.
We spend some time.
Yeah, we spend a lot of time in that little area.
Right on. Yeah, when I saw the stadium was going to be up there, I was like, oh yeah, I'm psyched for your Circle, Austin Beer Works, Celis, Adelbert's. The little district up there, Fourth Tap. Yeah, I think that's really cool. I'm psyched to see that.
Yeah. So back to the Spawn. What did everybody think?
I loved it. I mean, I love the Spawn. It's more fruit forward. It's got that bready character, but not overly kick you in the face like horse blanket, cat piss sort of thing. It's got that funk, but not super overpowering. And then fruit forward, it's just great. I love it. But yeah,
one of those tart dry beers that you were talking about earlier. Yeah. I got a little bit. I would almost say of a peppery note from that Shiraz grape that's in there, but it was definitely a more peppery note, but definitely fruit forward, tart. I enjoyed it.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, I thought it was different and enjoyable. I maybe wanted a little bit more wine in mine, just because
bitch.
No, that's just what it felt. It just felt like it should be a little bit more. I could have taken a little bit more, but it was still good.
Yeah.
No, nothing wrong with that.
I think this goes back to something you had said earlier, where it's you shouldn't have to put beer on the label, and it's with this, we're drinking it, at a brewery, but my wife does not like beer, and if I gave her something like this, she'd be like, "Well, I thought you were giving me a beer."
Right.
For me, this does not taste in my head what beer is, and I loved this. like this is something I would totally come back for.
Which brings us to Joel.
Yeah, I think I'm opposite in Clint. I think
exactly what beer tastes.
It tastes a lot like wine to me, and I didn't get the pepper taste, and even more so now that we're in this next beer that we haven't talked about yet.
This is way different.
This smooths in, and I almost started getting the pepper taste after going right into this. But I guess we'll talk.
Also, we aren't rincing our glasses, so it could just be carryover.
Yeah.
It all tastes the same.
Bringing up the Viking metal, though, so how often you guys do smoked beers?
I would say like 3 or 4 times a year.
Really? Is this smoked?
Yeah.
That's that flavor. Yeah, that's
Can you not?
Yeah, that's what it is.
That's
what it is.
I got it right off the bat.
I was like, whoa!
I smelled it and I was like, whoa, that's a very different smell.
Yeah.
It felt musky.
It's also gin barrel aged. Is that what I saw?
That's right. So the base beer of this is a style called Gotlandstrika, which was originally from this island off the coast of Sweden called Gotland.
Oh yeah.
So
which makes sense.
It's from it's from smoked malt, birchwood smoked, and then Mirica Gale in the boil, juniper in the boil.
Right. Okay. Yeah.
And then we age it in gin barrels, Old Tom gin barrels. So Nordic inspired beer, kind of botanical character, gin inspired.
No Kawak
I was
going to
say, but botanical was definitely something I thought was in there.
Yeah,
it's smoky botanical.
You really get it. Yeah,
botanical.
It really comes through.
Yeah,
But speaking of botanicals and juniper and everything, there was one time that we came here, and I don't remember what the beer was, but it had dead leaves in it.
Yeah,
it was like that.
That beer.
I was like, what?
That was that might be. Well, I'll just say that's at least in my top 5 favorite beers we've ever done. If not vying for the top position. That was a collaboration with Scratch Brewing in Illinois.
Okay.
It was called Obsidian. It did a technique that I absolutely love, which is just to take foraged ingredients and just steep it in the coolship wort as it chills overnight.
Oh, okay.
So they brought down like this just winter underbrush from their farm with like dead grapevines and spice bush and dead leaves and I think some sassafras root and then we did some I think
sassafras.
We did some
rinsed it off. I hope
some juniper. Well, right.
Just pick the bugs out.
No, you get more of that flavor. It's rustic.
But just steeping the foraged ingredients in the cold chip overnight, letting that kind of character of just like this like gnarly just winter undergrowth, just like steep into the wort, then letting it ferment out spontaneously is again trying to make beers that are unique to place. Like to me, that was just like one of the ultimate examples of it. That also had just like super cool flavors that I was really excited about.
Cool,
but that's also creativity. Like at that point, is it beer? Is it a tea?
No, certainly, yeah. I think you're right. Yeah,
Jester King, you'll drink some shit.
Yeah, I know you don't normally like sassafras
or dead leaves, but you will after this.
Honestly, I like that.
Well, but that actually ties into what I was going to say with this being a smoked beer. Like, I know we bring it up every once in a while, but going to Live Oak, they were pushing smoked beers over there. And Chip was saying, like, I'm going to keep making smoked beers until everyone likes them.
Yeah.
And it's something like this. I thought the smoke is definitely there, but it's more subtle.
Yes.
And, this is a very approachable. Versus we've had some, I don't know if it was the Shiner smoked or something. It was like
Shiner Smokehouse.
It was like getting a mouthful of ash from a campfire.
It was like liquid smoke, drinking liquid smoke.
And one thing to consider with this beer is, actually, can I see the bottle? I'm not sure which batch it is.
It's 3.
This is, okay, so this is our newest, which was bottled in November of last year, but, was aged at oak for about a year or so. This beer was a lot smokier when it was brewed than after it's had a chance to age this long and then bottle condition.
So that kind of mellows out the smokiness and brings up some other flavors.
Yes.
So didn't you do a collaboration recently with Live Oak? Did you do a smoked or I know you did what was a collaboration beer?
Yep.
And did you do 2 or did you just
Fuderweizen's the other one.
Right, okay.
Yeah, I mentioned earlier my love of Pilsner, especially Live Oak Pils, and so we take Live Oak Pils wort.
Right, yeah, that's right.
And because it's not beer at that point, it's legal for us to drive it here.
Yeah.
And then we pitch our mixed culture. And so, Chip, crazy
old Chip.
Yeah, he's a sweetheart, isn't he?
He is.
That's what Davis said.
I mean, he, when we first did the project with him, he's like, y'all took our perfectly good wort and you fucked it all up.
I can see that.
Yeah, no, Chip's the man. We love Chip.
Oh, yeah. No, of course. Everybody loves chili.
I definitely don't want to cut you off. I didn't know how much time you needed to get down to the.
I can go like for 5 more minutes, and then sadly, I'd love to continue this conversation. This was a lot of fun, but I got to give a brewery tour here in 5 minutes. Yeah,
we don't want to keep you, but it's like,
it's fine. Yeah,
just trying to be respectful.
I appreciate that. Yeah,
I don't know if we have anything really important. I just wanted to ask where the name Jester King came from. I know it's a reference to King Lear, and the logo, it's a horns coming out of a barrel. What's going on? Come on, what's going on?
So the logo, I remember learning about lambic, and the lambic producers would say,
so it's just evil coming out of that barrel.
Sort of. When they would have a barrel that had just been emptied and was just teeming with microscopic life and was ready for fresh wort to go into that barrel to ferment, they would call it a horny barrel.
Oh, okay.
It's
ready to go.
Ready to go. Yeah. And so we took the literal translation of that and put some horns on top of a barrel. So, our logo was inspired by the lambic tradition. The name Jester King, as you said, was a King Lear reference, Shakespeare's King Lear. There's this reference to the wise fool who could kind of speak truth to power and live to tell about it. And I felt like doing some kind of, semi out there stuff in terms of what we make. It was a good analogy for Jester King. And we do feel like we're kind of like the wise fool that can kind of, try weird stuff and live to tell about it.
All right. I think we have 2 more just really important, our most important questions, really. There's one, what's going to be your deathbed beer? What's the last beer that you're going to go out?
Oh, geez. That's always tough.
It's a tough one.
Live Oak Pils is pretty great.
Okay.
I'll go with that. Yeah.
Well, how come you have Hans Pils all over the place then? What's going on?
Our hipster employees that's
the honesty of
there. Say no more.
There are hipsters that work here.
That one guy that took us on the tour last. I don't know that guy.
Cutter was a little offended that he saw a guy with a beard longer than him.
Bigger beard. Yeah. So Clint, you wanna do the last question?
I think last question for him.
Do you want to wait this question for him?
No.
You're just gonna spring it on him.
All I know right now is I'm kicking your ass, Cutter.
You are kicking my ass.
The movie, The Fifth Element. Is it a bad movie that's fun to watch, or a good movie?
Sadly, I've never seen The Fifth Element. I know. I like Bruce Willis movies. I love Die Hard and all the Die Hard movies. So
nothing like those.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I mean, maybe a little bit, towards the end.
I'd say it's closer to a Hudson Hawk.
Or would you like to swing on a star? Carry moonbeams home in a jar.
They're all back on.
And be better off than you are. Or would you rather be a fish?
Oh, it's got a little bit of comedic.
Why do you keep bringing up Hudson Hawk, man?
I like Hudson Hawk. Nobody's trying to make Hudson Hawk a thing.
So I guess this is probably a weird way to approach it. I remember seeing a car once that had all the bumper stickers, and I'm totally revealing my political views here. But it was like Bernie Sanders, pro evolution, pro books in school, and it had a Fifth Element sticker on it. So I'm judging off of that, it must be good.
Okay.
So
awesome.
Damn one.
Check.
We definitely recommend it. Not a lot of beer in the movie. I don't think they have.
No,
I don't think there's any at all. No,
yeah. A lot of Chris Tucker though.
A lot of Chris Tucker.
Oh no, there is
great Gary Oldman,
the robot that's serving the priest.
Yes.
Yeah. I think he's pouring him beer. Anyway, sorry. Just came to me.
There you go.
Well, I've got a split, but the last beer I'll have is Montmorency versus Balaton. So
you just released this last week, right?
Yes. Our 2019 batch. And so, we take barrel-aged wild ale, 2 varieties of cherries, Montmorency and Balaton. One of the few fruits that we do go out of state to get. We get the Michigan tart cherries.
Right.
And then, just re-ferment it to dryness. And it's super fresh right now. So very kind of jammy, fruit forward.
Yes, it's delicious. It's my favorite of the podcast today.
Well, we appreciate you sitting and taking the time.
Jeff. This has been,
been
a lot of fun.
Great.
I wish I could go for another hour. This
we usually go much longer. But
Well, don't let me stop you. I mean, you all want to keep going.
Oh no, don't worry. We'll still sit here and talk. All good things. All good things.
Yeah.
Right on.
All right. Very good. Thanks, Jeff.
Cheers, guys. Thank you very much.
Cheers.
Thank you.
So that was Jeff Stuffings, everybody.
Jeff Stuffings.
Yeah, great to talk to him. I feel lucky that we even got an hour with him.
Yeah.
He's so busy
guy.
Yeah.
Jeff's awesome. He sounds like he's authentically passionate about beer.
And that was one of the things that before he was talking about the article, the letter, the whatever that he wrote about
Wicked Weed.
So what happened to them? I lost out on that.
They sold their
AB InBev.
Oh, okay.
Basically.
I mean,
it was, and he said that, and I read the letter that they wrote, the thing, whatever you want to call it, the article, and it was just like so passionate about craft beer, not even just Texas craft beer, but craft beer in general, and the whole the system and big beer and everything, and it really, I really got a lot of respect for him out of that, and so then it was like, okay, yeah, I will drink anything Jester King makes.
And to be, I'm sure as the craft beer community is typically a more tight-knit family kind of community.
Yeah.
Not to put words in Jeff's mouth, but I'm sure somewhat felt like a betrayal of what they were about,
Yeah.
It's like
a family member leaving, or
it's like, or you don't know how many times maybe the conversation came up, like, oh no, we'll never sell out.
And it probably did.
Shit, like the shit talk and money walks, guys.
Yeah.
Money using Capulets,
Well, you get to the point
I will
where
bite my thumb at them.
We're at the age of
an insult.
I will never buy a minivan. But it's like, sometimes you need to get a minivan.
Those are comfortable.
Do you know how many
you need to become a minivan?
Do you know how many cup holders those things have?
It's about to get a minivan.
I am fighting Amy about the minivan.
That's the point, though.
Funny story. All right, so
Is it a funny story?
One of my old bosses loved minivans for no other reason than there's so many cup holders inside of a minivan. It's like every time they'd rent a vehicle, his wife would go, "What'd you get?" And he's like, "I got a minivan." Why? He's like, "Do you realize how many? Look around. There's like 20 cup holders in here. There's like 8 chairs. Like, why wouldn't you get a minivan? You don't need that many cup holders. It's only the two of us."
Yeah, it's like, wait, were there just 2 of them?
Yeah, it was just the 2 of us. It was just him and his wife, and they didn't have any kids.
So much stuff in there.
So much room for activities.
I mean, that one 64-ounce cup just can't fit in one.
Yeah, right.
and you don't have to put cups in them. You can put change.
Yeah, that's like most of ours growing up we didn't have a minivan. We had like one of those conversion vans.
Yeah.
Change.
Astro
Each
Star.
of them were sticky.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Always.
Juice boxes.
Because of you kids.
Kids are fucking
Sticky
sticky,
change.
man. Kids are sticky.
So that's your fault. Anyway.
I know I just talked about it earlier before the podcast, but it really does feel that way now. Like, this is almost like a Disneyland of breweries. Like, you come out here. It's 156 or 64. What was it? Whatever, 100 something.
Oh, acres? Yeah.
160.
I mean,
there's a restaurant, there's pizza.
I don't know if you can walk all the acres. I think you can, I guess, sort of walk.
I think it's fenced off.
There.
I think a lot of it's fenced off.
Can you do a lime scooter?
They don't have it out here.
They are
that
solar,
is one of the
and
things.
you could probably bring one out here.
Yeah, they got solar panels right out that window.
I mean, it's the scooter.
Oh, the scooter is solar. Oh, is it?
I thought you have to pick them up and charge them.
They pick them up at night.
They pick them up at night and charge them.
They do something with them at night.
There's a lot of scooter talk.
I know they fetch them and put them on certain corners.
Yeah.
Stop trying to make fetch a thing.
I don't know what they do, but yeah.
Fetch. Anyway, what were we saying?
What were we saying?
Disneyland. It's Disneyland.
Yeah, it feels like a Disneyland. Disney World, Disneyland.
I mean, I talk to people. Sometimes there's people.
You talk to people?
Sometimes they're actual people.
Sometimes it's himself.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's the faces on his shirt.
They know Jester King.
Everyone, even people who don't know breweries have heard of it, because I think we're living in that Instagrammable world where there's there's goats here, there's a pizza place, there's I
want to find those goats.
I think what Jeff was saying, it's the fact that they're passionate about what they do. They're not trying. I mean, yeah, they kind of carry into market trends, but a lot of what they do is based on what they like. Opposed to
say the opposite. They don't go into trends at all. I mean, they're doing.
Well, I mean, he
open.
did discuss it. That's one of the things that you're doing. Yeah. You have to. if everybody wants like something, they're not doing
running a
hazy
business.
IPAs. Yeah, exactly.
Well,
you're running a business. You're
I
gonna
agree
be
with Clint. This is shit. You're gonna drink it. It's like
No,
What?
You're gonna drink this. What did you say earlier?
What? Don't misconstrue. Man, that was a awesome slogan. And you're like fucking it up, Mr. Marketing.
Man, now you know how I feel whenever you try to pitch that question at people.
Which question?
You
Fifth
changed it.
Element?
Do you think Fifth Element is a good movie or
a great movie.
I said, do you think it's a bad movie that's fun to watch?
you
or
pitched it good
a
this time?
Good
yeah.
movie.
Really? I thought he pitched it bad.
or
Anyway.
or like a smart person.
It was-
Would you say?
Yeah.
I think that might
Or,
be the first person we've talked to who hadn't seen the movie at
Hadn't
all.
seen
right?
it. Yeah.
So do you think when companies buy these small breweries, they're buying them just to get them out of the market, almost like we're going to control
Yeah.
this competition?
Yeah,
it's not like we
Or is
really
it
hope to
catch
make
and
money.
kill? Is that what you call that?
We're not hoping to make
and-
money out of it.
well,
We're just
no,
Just
they
think of it as old Celis. It's all like Miller
Right.
owned them for about 20 years, and it's all
They
like the
didn't
market-
even make anything.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then they sold it to I think a Michigan brewery, and then the Michigan brewery folded, and then there was just nothing.
It was
but they still owned the
good.
rights, the name.
No, but the thing with I think some of the breweries now though, it's like these bigger companies just want to have
a share.
that share of the craft brew market. Like they realize that there are certain people who are never going to drink their crap beer again, and so they're going to buy a small brewery and use that to capitalize on the craft brewer market.
Basically, hey, we'll add distribution, we'll add this. You guys can continue.
We'll
to
scale
do
you
your-
up. Yeah.
we'll continue to do everything
Like a fish.
to an extent,
But
it's
until-
great. It's great in theory until nobody's buying that beer anymore.
Yeah.
because they've started changing the formula, doing things to cut costs, trying to maximize their profit on the investment or maximize the return.
So
And then-
Carback's the one that jumps out for you? Because Goose Island is the one that jumps out for me. Like,
Yeah.
they changed.
But has their
You've
formula
changed.
really changed? Like, has their beer substantially changed yet, or are you just?
Their Honkers Ale changed. It was...
I love me a good honker.
Who doesn't love a good honker?
That's what it said in the, in the
honker.
restroom over there. Ross loves good honkers.
A good honker job.
Anyway,
But having it on draft in Chicago and then like having it distributed by a major, distributor.
Did you have it before and after?
I did, yeah.
Okay.
Changed.
Did you really
changed.
You've changed.
Was it South
Did you have draft and draft, and it changed?
Draft and draft.
And
Because you can
changed-
still get Honkers Ale in Austin.
Yeah.
You just look for the big old white goose in
Yeah.
the tap.
Yeah. Well,
I had their IPA.
yeah.
Didn't like it.
I'm sure that's bound to happen with them. They're going to change the stuff to make it more profitable, and then
The one question I didn't get
Easier
asked,
to
Jeff,
make, maybe.
is their brewing section here is rather small. Like
I was gonna
for how popular I believe them to be. It's like
I think it's
but they
quick
just
batches.
do quick,
Yeah.
repeated, different
Right.
batches. So
The aging is way. There's
exactly.
more. They-
I was going to
yeah.
say, but the actual brewing section, compared to some of the breweries that I've been to, and I know that you guys have been to also, it's fairly small, like for how really popular they are.
The
which
thing
is crazy.
I'm sure they're brewing every day, all day. Not all those places are brewing every day.
That's true. There is that.
And what's their distribution do? I mean,
they don't can, right?
no,
they
the
do
bottle
have
though.
some canned.
Yeah,
These don't.
the bottles, yeah.
No, they don't
bottle.
can. They
Well,
don't
but
can.
just think of
that
it just
limits their
bottle.
distribution,
But
right?
but the bottles aren't distributed.
yeah, huh?
It's around,
They have a
around
smaller
Austin,
distributor.
around
Yeah.
all
This
the
is full government. This isn't just TABC.
around the country, around the world. Even
Okay,
I
yeah.
think. I don't know how much they distribute outside the U.S., but he said that they do. But yeah, or if you want a bottle of anything they have, you can come down here to the brewery, and they have
Not anything they
a
have.
large selection.
Yeah, not everything.
more than other
Maybe
places.
maybe if you're willing to pay the right price, you can
That's
get something
true.
from
From
the
out
cellar.
their cellar, yeah.
Well, but they also have the people like you guys have seen it where people like trade beers.
Come here.
Yeah.
Like
Oh,
this
yeah.
is a heavy hitter on that market.
I don't
Come
even-
here and
Well, it's
and,
because each batch, like you said, he said, it's completely different from.
Yeah.
Oh, I shouldn't say completely different. It's different from batch to batch. Like you even had to look at this one and go, which batch was this?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Three.
But to think that he knew each individual batch and
yeah.
what the profile was.
Yeah.
I just want to say, guys, I'm about to start my fourth. I can feel it in my face.
You had a big pour on the third one.
I can't feel my face.
Yeah.
No.
I saw how big your pour was
good.
on the third one.
On the third one?
Yeah.
I think all of his has been
The
pretty
smoky
good.
one? The last one?
Well, we were finishing off the bottles over here.
Yeah. That's the thing is I'm like pouring my small pour and then I'm passing it to those two. And they're
Clint and I had
I'm
the
like,
right idea.
Filling it up.
I'm starting
Remember
off
the-
with the small one,
remember
giving
the-
it to Joel, and then topping it
Remember
off.
the whole half pour thing that we discussed after Whitestone?
Hey, remember the Titans? Avon Barksdale was there. You could remember? No.
Right. The
Where's
fourth one.
Bodie?
Before we go any further, I gotta get back to Joel. It was Jester King. You'll drink some shit.
Yeah, that's what it was. The first three, since we're all done with we're almost all done with the first three.
Oh yeah.
1-1-1 for me.
1-1-1. Yeah.
1-1-1. This last one. This is the one that if I would have started
This
with
is
this,
the one?
I would have been like, yeah, I could just drink this one.
This is the best one.
Yeah.
This and
Just
this
the
one.
nose on this one.
Okay,
Oh, this one
hold
is
on.
like wine.
Let's run through this again because we're like, oh yeah, 1-1-1, and this one. And
Well, La Petite-
all right,
La
La
Petite
Petite
Prince.
All right, was a 1 all around. It was
Yeah.
a little
Not my
almost,
favorite, but I'd still drink it.
It was clean,
Definitely.
but it had that bitterness of
Really-
like a pale ale,
really bitter.
stronger pale ale,
Yeah.
IPA
It's like
territory.
bitter water is what I was.
Yeah, and the thing, but the thing about that one is it's what like 3.5% or something.
3.0.
Like
Oh
that.
yeah, yeah.
Just 3.0. Okay.
Oh, I didn't know it was that low.
Yeah, it's a
very
table
low.
beer. It's
Yeah.
a table beer.
It's petite.
beer.
I mean, that beer felt like the kind of beer you'd have, like, where you're just going to hang out with friends at a big table and
It
eat,
do-
like, all day.
The thing,
Just,
yeah.
like,
I
eat
mean,
and
the
drink.
thing is, it doesn't taste like a weak beer to me because it's got that bitterness. to
Yeah.
it.
Yeah, right.
And then next up we had the
The Spawn,
Shiraz and Cabernet.
the 2018 Spawn.
Yeah,
2018 Shiraz.
Yeah, you have to.
Shiraz
So,
and
so they're not
Shiraz and
they're
Cab.
not
A lot of Spawns.
Shiraz and Cab because the Spawn is just Spawn, but that one is aged in the wine barrels as well.
I was surprised at how much
The wine came through.
especially the Shiraz.
Tasted just like wine.
I would have.
Yeah. You said the spice of the Shiraz. Yeah.
I'm a wine drinker also, but yeah.
wine cellar.
Yeah, Shiraz in this area.
Dude,
is
you have to
typically
wait.
Peppery, but yeah,
Yeah. So that one was also 1s all around. Yeah.
One
Yeah. Oh yeah,
Spawn?
definitely.
tart and sweet, which is
I
what I
think
like.
that one was my favorite out of the.
I think I wanted it to be maybe
be wine?
a little bit more tart, maybe, or
I agree.
a little bit more winey.
Oh, okay, yeah.
just a little bit more.
I could do more tart on that one.
with
Yeah.
like your spontaneously fermented or your wild ales, if you will, so
Yeah.
like the longer they age, the
more tart.
the more
it's gonna
tart
come
and
through.
sour.
So if you
I
bought
should.
one,
I need to get one of those 2016s. Is what you're talking about
Probably, yeah.
because that's when they started.
or
so.
you
Yeah.
get a 2018 and age it.
But who's gonna want to
But the
wait?
2016
Ain't nobody got
is
time for
on
that.
page.
2016's ready right now.
But also,
Where's Jeff? Jeff, show us the 2016.
But also,
He could probably
but
get
also
us
you start
to-
paying that money. It's like the longer they're aged, it's like fine. It gets more expensive.
Well, they usually have a Spawn day where they have the older ones on tap or whatever.
Oh, really?
Or in bottles, and you can do like a vertical flight, which is every
16,
year.
17, 18.
Yeah, exactly.
Nice.
Oh, I was like, what do you mean?
cool idea.
Vertical
I've
flight,
never
yeah.
heard that before.
Yeah, it's the same
what they
beer.
call a vertical flight.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's the same beer, just different years.
Oh.
Yeah.
So
But I was like, you take it and then each shot kind of like
Yeah,
drops down,
yeah.
like,
for-
drop.
It's like it's that ice slide at
Yeah,
the
exactly.
tequila bar. No,
and then the third beer was what?
Viking King?
Viking Metal.
Viking Metal.
The smoked beer.
It's smoky. And
I was not expecting that. I was
It
like,
was very
you gotta
unique.
warn me. If you give me a smoked beer.
Viking metal, and you thought it was going to be
every beer I would
No, I
smell
don't know.
and I would look at the label. It's not like I
Of course you would.
One.
I smelled it, yeah, and I was like,
The smoke.
Oh,
I
what?
got the smoke, and I got the juniper. I was all like,
yeah.
what?
That
else
really
is
comes
in here?
through.
And I looked at the
Looked at
smoked farmhouse ale.
Oh, so you read the label?
brewed
Yes.
with juniper
Yes.
and American
Cutter read the
ale,
label.
aged in gin barrels.
Yeah.
It was like
Could you taste the gin?
No,
I did
no.
not.
The
botanicals.
botanicals
But
really,
the
and that's what when you're tasting gin. I mean,
No, that was a joke. About
I definitely-
him reading the label.
yeah, yeah.
Oh, okay.
But I definitely.
But did the coriander come through on it?
I can't. So when I smelled it, I was like, what is that? That is funky.
Yes.
Like that is,
and it's
weird.
not funky. It's smoky.
I wouldn't have guessed birch. I wouldn't have guessed birch.
Yeah,
and then
I was guessing
that's what they have in
that's what's
Sweden.
nearby.
I was drinking it. I was like, "What am I drinking? Like, I don't know what this is." And then he was like, "Smoky," and I was like,
yes,
"Oh, that's
as soon
what
as
it
he
is."
said that, I was like, "Yes,
Smoky
that
and then floral," and I was
yes.
like, "Got it. I got it."
I enjoyed it.
Yeah, no, it was good.
Like, I read this and I was like, I would never have ordered that.
No.
I was like, that's way too weird for me. But
the thing
I
about
actually really enjoyed it.
They have that at the Sunrise Market.
Yeah,
I've seen it before.
They have a wide selection of Jester King beers at the Sunrise Market.
I wonder
Though
if they
they're
have- I
super
wonder-
expensive.
I wonder
Not
if they have
super
batch
expensive,
two.
but they're
more expensive than
pretty
here.
expensive.
Yeah.
I wonder if they have batch 2 there.
I'll take a look.
So, but what I was going to say about Jester King is they might not make every beer that I like, but every beer is well made.
Agreed.
Which there are some places where you just get an off beer. It's like a bad batch. And I suppose they could have a bad batch one year.
Well, I was about to say, I wasn't
but it's
sure where you
well,
were going when you brought up the leaves conversation before.
I just remember seeing it.
I thought he loved that too. It's hilarious.
I just remember seeing it on their menu when we came down here. And I was like, "What the fuck?" I should have ordered it. I should have drank it. But
to know that
at
it's
that time,
in his
I don't
top 5 beers.
I don't think no, just because at that time I don't think I was adventurous. But like when you come to Jester King,
You need to be
you're gonna
adventurous.
drink some shit. Yeah. No. Try. They make stuff and they put out well-made beers.
They do.
So you might not like it, but you can appreciate it for what it is. Maybe I don't know.
If you're looking for a Bud Light, Miller's Light, Coors Light,
You get the hell out!
Yeah. If you want some basic bitch beer, this is not the place for you.
No High Life in his fridge.
Nope.
He ain't living a High Life.
They do have guest beers here, though.
Yes, they do.
So-
Hans Pills.
Yeah, I mean, you could get close.
Yeah.
Live Oak Hefeweizen.
Did they have that there?
Yeah, it was one of the guests on our side. We
Can
went
you
to the
talk
kitchen bar.
more? Can you talk more into your glass, Joel?
Or
They had
into the mic if you're talking.
they
to your
had
glass,
they
too.
had 3 different bars outside, and they each had different.
Yeah, and
beers.
that's one
Okay.
of the cool things, and also frustrating. I'm at this bar, but this other bar has something better that I want.
Well, keep in mind their top. They may have 6 or 7 beers that they offer at each
You
one,
keep 'em.
but the top 5 are like everywhere, and then there's like 2 maybe that are unique.
Yeah, no, but yeah, the unique ones are what
Yeah,
Kinda,
like we
I might want
went
one.
to the kitchen bar, and then 2 barrel
Yeah.
aged ones that were going to be somewhere else.
Oh, Clint, you didn't get one for Clint?
No,
No,
that's what. That's actually
he loves barrel aged.
that's actually a comment I made. I was like, I don't know if Clint's going to like anything here.
Depends on the barrel.
Well, I think that's one of the things that stood out about
But Clint
this
loves
place.
sour beers.
It stood out at this place
yeah.
looking at the menu, how kind of adventurous you have to be.
Yeah.
And how kind of overwhelming
I don't
it can
think
be.
you even have to be. Well,
they
maybe
just-
maybe
they all-
to,
they all
maybe
fall
to
into
try
that.
it. Maybe reading the menu, it's like I don't know if I like that. But
Muscat.
yeah, no, yeah, you're right.
What is
You're-
that last beer?
Well, they all
You
fall
right,
into that
you right.
farmhouse
Spiky
category.
middle?
And
Or-
so it's like one of those things like, all right, this is a farmhouse with this. This is a farmhouse with
The
this.
thing is, but if people tried it, they'd probably like it.
Right.
Yeah, but how many people are going
Are going to go and actually try it? Yeah, no.
Or
no.
when you say like the whole smoky thing, like who goes out of their way to try smoky beer? Not
Chip.
a lot of people. Chip will.
Chip's he's a sweetheart.
You know, I sent that picture out a couple of weeks ago with the Dapper Devil
Uh-huh.
Oh,
as the
man.
prettiest beer.
That was a
This-
good beer.
This one's probably pretty close.
There's some nice lacing.
Yes, by far my favorite beer for today.
Yeah, I'm gonna
funky
pick
and
some of this
fruity.
up before we go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's funky.
Are you
and
going to
fruity.
take it
It's
to
absolutely
Cammy and
delicious.
have her try it?
Yeah, absolutely.
I think she would probably, as a non-beer drinker.
As a non-beer drinker, I
She
think
would
I think we
probably
should get
enjoy
that
this.
other one too. The
some
yeah,
Spawn?
second
Yeah.
one, yeah.
well, but I like the Muscat.
Muskrat. That's a callback. Tony, when is the last time you shouted out Muskrat?
What day is it today?
It's a Saturday.
You know, it's been about 2 weeks since I've ejaculated muskrat.
Well, that is technically accurate.
You know, the
Technically,
verbiage. I mean,
yes.
ejaculate is to
Yes.
utter it, you know.
Yes.
Oh, I was thinking, is that why you're taking the 2 bottles to Canby?
No, I think
You're gonna ejaculate a muskrat when you get home.
Has it been 2 weeks?
I think the word you're looking for is enunciate.
No, I'm sorry that you went to Texas State.
Future president.
Of Texas.
Yeah. No, of the United States. These United States.
well,
Anyway,
we
but-
These United States.
These you never mind.
Yeah. These you nuts.
What do you think of the last one, Joel?
Is that how beer should taste?
You're hesitating.
Opposite. I would say this in the second one we had. Opposite of what I think beer should taste like.
Yeah, that is fair. This is not what
I get
traditional beer should
This
taste
is not
like.
Coors Light.
No.
I'm trying to put my finger on the finish. I can't really.
Cherries.
Yeah.
It's the cherries.
I would.
Yeah.
But it's like cherries. It's not like just cherry.
It's tart.
It's like
tart
a
cherry.
They're like,
eat tart
soaked cherries.
or-
They're like brandied cherries
Do you,
almost.
or it reminds me of dried cherries almost. Like if you eat a dried cherry.
yeah.
Same kind of back
Do you
end.
eat dried cherries?
Yeah.
Yeah. You don't?
Clint and I used to buy bags of like blueberries and cherries that were dried.
Only each other's.
Yeah. Fondle each
Take
other's
us, cherry. That's what you're telling us right now.
Chocolate covered cherries.
Whoa.
I don't even want to know what that means.
Oh, you guys went there with it. Okay.
Yeah, Joel. Thanks for joining the minute-long back and forth.
You guys were just like talking about cherries. I was like, I know chocolate
There's
covered
a bit of
cherries.
a nickel aftertaste. There.
There's a nickel back on it.
But Nickelback taste.
So this one,
Yes.
is
It tastes like Nickelback
6.1%,
sounds.
by the way.
6.1?
Yeah.
Man, that's dangerous.
Saisons
Real
really
good.
can be dangerous because I don't think I've ever had a saison that tasted like really boozy. I mean, I guess they're not
Designed to be
typically
boozy, yeah.
really boozy, but 6-7%. That's
right.
danger territory.
You're right.
Sometimes.
Like, because we've been to Brewtorium and you have
Need
one
proof?
there and it's
Just
not
look-
very
let's
strong.
do our,
It's 7%.
Oh yeah,
So-
our saison episode. Yeah.
What? This would be a dessert beer, right, Cutter?
I would consider a dessert beer. Yes.
It's good that we ended
this
on
one.
it.
This one and the Shiraz.
I don't.
You know,
I would drink that with like a meal.
I would
Shiraz,
too, yeah.
because of the
What's-
wine.
what's the
element.
ABV?
You would
on
drink
that one?
this with a meal?
That's the one I didn't look.
No,
at.
No, the
most-
second one, the earlier one.
The spawn. You know what the spawn was?
What?
7.6.
Yeah.
Really? Damn. You know what's interesting
That's
to
probably
me?
from the wine too, right? Do you think it soaks
could-
up in the? No,
No.
not really. Not
Possible,
from barrel aging.
but
No,
What do you guys think about this? So
No.
no.
I like
Chocolate covered?
I like fountain drinks. I like Coca-Cola.
Yeah.
But a lot of these beers taste like they're so consistent. It really does feel like something that can come out of the tap, like consistent all the time.
It's called a
But
draft.
I think that
Yeah.
just speaks to the expertise that they
Right.
have, that they can do a wild yeast
Yeah.
process and have a consistent product like
Yeah, yeah,
that.
definitely.
To do the volume they need
consistently inconsistent, right? It's consistently good, but it's not
to this batch.
But
Right.
bottle to bottle.
Oh, that would have been
Yes.
actually a good question. Like, do they have batches where they just are like, nope,
I doubt it.
we won't process, we won't sell that one.
The goats are getting this one.
You think so? I mean, it seems like they experiment.
I wouldn't think. Yeah, I mean, I'm sure they experiment
Well,
and they
I
have
bet-
pilot batches probably, but
How do you do a pilot batch when the microbes are in constant flux?
that's true too. Yeah.
That would have been a good question. Oh well,
Yeah, good job, Clint.
sorry.
Next time.
Where is it at with the tour?
Yeah, go
Is it-
go on the tour and be like, hey, I got a question.
Oh yeah, you the
Speak into
drunk
the microphone, please.
What were you just
Speak
doing?
clearly.
A podcast or something?
This is
Hey.
this is portable.
Do we have
right?
a? Do we have
Hey,
Yeah.
a? Ross, we need a wireless mic.
hey guys, do we have any sponsors this episode?
Jester,
Jester King, you'll drink some shit.
Yeah. Remember last year? Remember Barks for Beers last year?
I do.
Well, what if they did
No.
another one this year?
What, in 2019?
Yes, 2019.
Wow,
Barks
back-to-back
for Beers.
years. That's amazing.
Yes, Barks for Beers is coming up.
Are there enough dogs?
Yes.
Okay.
I just did the mathematics in my head. I think so. In case you don't know, Divine Canines is a local Austin group that trains therapy dogs, and they visit people in need. They're partnering with 22 local Austin craft breweries and tap rooms for the event, Barks for Beers. It starts April 26th and continues until May 31st. All you have to do is purchase a special Divine Canines print, glass, and passport for $30 plus tax from April 26th through May 31st at any of the local breweries. And
so how much is it?
I'll tell you $30 plus tax. And then you take your passport to any of the participating breweries and you get a free pour.
But Ross, who are the participating breweries?
I'm glad
Who
you
are the
asked.
precipitating breweries?
Where's the precipitation coming from?
The breweries participating are Fourth Tap Brewing Co-op, Black Star Co-op, Blue Owl Brewing, which it would probably be a good...
I would like to go.
We should do
could
that
probably
this year,
actually go down there.
Yeah.
Celis Brewing, Circle, Family Business Beer Company, or as the cool people say it, Family Business. Or I say it that way.
They don't say it,
not the cool people. Anyway,
They don't say it FBC.
I will stop saying it that
FBC. Also, Flying Man Brewing, Hitmaker Brewing, which is they're relatively new, Infamous Brewing, Live Oak, Oddwood Ales, Orf. Be a good excuse to go down to Orf. Oh, I can't hear you, Tony. You didn't want to
going to be on there.
You didn't want to be on this promo.
Is that a new brewery?
You mean ORF?
ORF, yes, ORF Brewing. They're only open on Saturdays, so good luck. Oscar Blues, Real Ale, Red Horn, Southern Heights, Suds Monkey, out in Dripping Springs, Skull Mechanics, The Brutorium, Twisted X, also in Dripping Springs, Two Wheel Brewing, and Vista Brewing. So, yeah.
So Circle.
You can start at Circle, you can end at Circle, you could do whatever.
Only Circle?
Only Circle. But you only get one pour at each of the places. So
damn it, Circle.
Oh, so yeah, buy your passport. Any of those precipitate. Any of those participating breweries. Also, you can purchase it at Copeland Jewelers, Mud Puppies, or Wolfgang Bakery. All proceeds from the sale of the glasses go directly to Divine Canines. So if you're in the Austin area, get drunk for a good cause for once.
Now that everybody's at least tried them, we're going to rank them favorite to least favorite.
So this last one, Montmorency versus Balaton, number 1. The Spawn, number 2. The Viking Metal, number 3.
What?
And I'd say those top 3 are very, very close. Petite Prince was drinkable, but if I had anything else from them, I would pick that over. Like coming here, I think Petite Prince is something you were like, well, if you don't want to be adventurous, but why would you come here if you don't want to be adventurous?
That's we're going to be fucking out in the fields later.
Interesting.
Not us. That's a quote. So from me and Tony.
Anyway,
you're gonna drink some shit and you're gonna be fucking in the fields.
So hey, some 7% beers.
Well, they have goats. So anyway,
it's better with sheep, right?
Yeah,
that's
what I
heard from some Irish people.
That's
what you heard. We heard.
Hey, so we have the what's their podcast name again?
BAYK podcast.
BAYK. We had a joke for them if they're listening.
Yeah,
how did the Irishman find the sheep in the long grass?
Very lovely.
You got it.
Joel, what do you got?
This is a hard one. So when I started
out, that's what she said. Damn.
So when I started out with Petite, I was like, man, this might be the best beer I've ever had.
Whoa.
And then, yeah.
What?
But as I drink
Joel's having the best beer he ever had, like regularly. I wish I was you, Joel.
I was about to say that's a big statement.
I just erase my brain. I just walk in
like a goldfish.
This is the best beer ever. I wish we need to go back and like do an episode of just like Joel's best beers ever and like drink all of them in one night and see which one he thinks is the best.
That's gonna be a long episode.
Yeah, that's gonna be. Well,
I think it's only really happened like 4 times. Anyway, so what's your order, Joel?
All right, so number 1, Viking Metal.
Really?
What?
One of the most unique beers I've ever had.
Agreed.
There were so many flavors. Something I wanted to ask actually was the gin. Do you think that opened up the juniper?
It probably helped a little bit.
Yeah.
I think you might have tried the gin aged at Adalbert's, and I think you didn't like
Adelbert's.
Adelbert's. Yeah.
I didn't want to correct him when he
Yeah, I
said
know. I wanted to say it like, yeah.
He said
he must know,
He said
right?
Adelberts.
Yeah. It's like, wait a second.
It's Adele, like the singer.
Well, the guy's name was Dell. So,
Yeah.
so that's how I always remember it.
But they named the brewery after the singer.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Anyway, continue.
She became a naked nun for a while.
Anyway, continue.
Yeah. So number one, Viking Metal. Viking Metal. Petite Prince.
Viking Metal.
Which one is this? What's this one?
That is the
It's the fourth one.
Montessori.
versus Balaton. Montmorency.
Montmorency.
Montmorency versus Balaton.
Montessori.
It's
a school.
It's the Maserati.
Maserati
It's
versus
the Maserati of beers.
They're not going to get that.
Maserati. Hold on. Maserati versus Baltimore.
Ooh, Baltimore's rough, man. Although Omar left and he moved to New York, right?
Hey, yo, Omar's coming.
Oh, shit!
All right, Joel.
M versus
It's the game.
All right, so M versus B for that, and then the other one that we had, the Spawn. Yeah, I think that's the other one. Yeah, I think that's the last one.
So Joel just had 4 of his new
son of a
favorite
bitch.
beers, like today. Like 4 of his new favorite beers.
Hey, that's good though.
Well, I don't.
Yeah, that is good.
Like it's a hard. I wouldn't
what she
normally
said.
get these, but if I were coming back, I'd
Hard
get
Knocks
Viking
Life.
Metal or probably the little Petite
Really?
Prince. Yeah, those would probably be
Wow.
when I go downstairs again and we get more beer. Hopefully, that's probably what I'll
The
get.
line's probably going to be shorter.
Yeah.
So hopefully.
Ross, what do you got?
I'd say for me, the Spawn is always number one. Usually, it's
a good one.
Spawn what?
That
though?
one is really
What year?
well. 2018 is the one that we had, right?
Yeah.
So the Spawn's always good. It was really good. It aged in the wine barrels. Then I go with the cherry with the Morrissey versus the Balaton.
Peloton.
Peloton.
Balaton.
Yeah. Then probably the Viking Metal, and then the Petite Prince.
So we were pretty similar.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd say so. But I like the Spawn. I'm
surprised you guys
a little
don't
bit
have those
better.
in
I
top
thought I liked the Spawn a little bit better. I thought it was a little more fruit forward. It was maybe more the winey, more the grapes in there. But yeah, I enjoyed it a little bit more than the cherry one. I thought I would really enjoy the cherry one, but it had more of the funk, more of the sour. Yeah.
I'm actually surprised that you like the winey as much because you don't like Clint.
Oh, that is
Shots fired.
Shots fired.
TB Gold.
I'm surprised all those are winning.
Hey, Tony.
I'm gonna be the only one with Viking Metal and
Hey,
Prince.
what's up, Clint?
Fuck you, man.
Well, it's like funny you should say that, Joel, because my favorite out of all of these would be the Le Petit Prince.
Really?
Really?
Okay.
Mostly for the drinkability of it.
Yeah.
Now here's a question: Did you have it before the podcast?
I did have it before the podcast.
Yeah,
Do you like it? I
we
know,
had
but
it-
I'm
we
saying
had it
that
right
for the
before.
podcast. Did you taste a difference between the on tap, or was it on tap, or was it another bottle?
No, it was a bottle.
Oh, it was a bottle. I wasn't sure if he had brought up some
No,
already
it
poured.
was a bottle also.
Oh, okay,
So, like,
gotcha.
I really enjoy it because it's very easy drinking. It's complex though. It's all like, so that's what I liked about it. We compared it to like barley water.
Yeah.
As we were talking, but it's got that bitterness. It's got that dryness. It finishes very light, but it's like I lend it to pairing food to food very well, which is what I really want to do with most things that I drink. Is I want to pair them with food. That's why I would choose it first.
Could you pair it with some pizza?
Definitely would pair it with
I want
pizza.
to
Like
pair it
yes.
with like cheese.
Yeah.
Cheese
They have a
plates and,
charcuterie board downstairs.
all of these beers.
No, you got to drink the Spawn with cheese, obviously.
No, I was going to say all of these would pair really well with like cheese.
You don't
Like,
know what you're
it's-
talking about. Ooh, man, some smoked Gouda would be so good right now.
They probably have that downstairs.
Who are you?
Yes.
I like smoked
I would
Gouda.
Le Petit Prince, number 1, 2. They're all really good. I would probably go with the Viking Metal simply because
Well, all right.
it is crazy out there. Like it was one of those surprising beers. Like I smelled it. I had to read the label, and I was like, all right, I'm just going to drink it. It does not sound like anything that I would really enjoy, and it actually was very, very well balanced. I would like to see it aged longer just to see. I'm tempted to buy a bottle just to age it longer, because that is a strange beer that it's delicious.
Would you have liked it earlier? Because you said it would have been smokier if you would have got it like right out of the same bottle.
I'm not a huge fan of like huge smoky beers.
Yeah.
I like smoky beers, but it's like this one, it mellows out and melds really well. And I think the bottle fermentation, like I would like to see it in another year or 2 years. Like I think it would be crazy, like ridiculously good. The two fruit beers, once again, really good beers. Like not knocking them at all. I would probably go the Spawn.
Really?
Once again, for food pairing reasons, and then the Montmorency.
So you were the exact opposite order of mine.
Yeah, I guess I did. But I would say that they're all really, really close. As far as like levels.
I think he also did probably the most common beer to non-common beer.
That's probably true also, yeah.
Like the Petit Prince is like more like any other beer that you could drink anywhere else. Like it's
the closest to it. Yeah, I wouldn't say
it's a pale ale or an IPA, like that kind of level of beer.
Yeah.
And then you move on to the Viking Metal, and it's a smoky, and then it's got a bunch of other floral flavors, but it's still like you can still kind of feel the beer. But then when you move to like Spawn and the Monterey versus Baltimore,
All in the game, yo. All in the game.
they kind of they lose the traditional beer flavor, and it's just all replaced by the wine elements and the floral elements, and then with the cherries and the sour.
Yeah.
And so it becomes, it's still beer, but it's not a like traditional flavor of beer.
Yeah.
Is how I would categorize it.
Oh,
which is why like
totally agree.
my order is like basically Cutters and in reverse. Actually, no.
Also, Tony.
Wait, did you say you agree with me?
Yeah, probably.
So, Tony.
What's the actual name?
Bitch.
Montmorency?
Montmorency versus Balaton was my favorite. Actually, I'll do Viking Metal as number 2.
Just so it's not the same as me?
Yeah. And then Spawn, and then Le Petit Prince.
So, guys, I just want to point out, Clint was the closest to my picks.
But
okay.
Did you only pick Viking Metal number 2 because it would be opposite to what Tony has?
No. Actually, I think
like
I like it more. If the Spawn, like I said, had more tartness to it, or a little bit more waning wine element to it, I would probably have put it above the Viking Metal. But I enjoyed the complexity and the just very uniqueness of.
I'm blown away because the way you guys were talking, I would have totally thought Viking Metal would have been last, and then that Spawn would have been number 2.
No, Viking Metal was weird,
just surprising.
But it was good,
unique.
Yeah. I'm interested. I want to hear from everybody. Would you have liked it early on with more smoke or less smoke?
I think it's got a good amount of smoke with it. Yeah, or it could go less.
I think the smoke would overpower the botanicals.
I think right now is the perfect time to drink it.
I think it comes across nicely where you can get that floral. If it was anything else, then it wouldn't be like definitely not a 3. Like you could have like one of, but and that's the problem you have with any sort of smoked beer.
Ooh, that's another question. Do you think you could drink 3 of all of these, or not all at once?
Only the Petit Prince.
Yeah. Only the Petit.
I agree.
Do 3 of.
Yeah,
and it was my last beer. No, but
I could.
I would say that
it was your.
It was my 4th beer.
Oh, it was your least favorite. Gotcha.
Well, least of the 4.
Yeah,
but that's the only one of them I could drink 3 of. The other ones, 3 of them would be.
I agree. I don't know if I could have done the Viking Metal one.
Oh, yeah. Between the sweetness and the strength and the flavors.
I don't know if I would have wanted to do 3 of the Viking Metal. I totally could, but I don't think I would have. It wasn't my favorite, so I don't think I would want to.
I probably could drink 3 of any but the Le Petit Prince.
Okay.
Because of the bitterness.
Yeah.
I just wouldn't like the bitterness.
Hey guys,
really?
why don't
I probably go all 3.
Why don't we just pour them all in a big bowl and then we can drink that? Yeah.
King's Cup. We'll just call it King's. Jester King's Cup.
Jester King's Cup.
Jester King's Cup.
Yeah, simplify it. There you go.
All right, guys. Well, I think we had a really good time out here at Jester King. We probably have another drink or 2 to go downstairs.
Uh-huh.
But yeah, it sounds like it was ones all around, which is a very rare recording.
No, not that rare.
No.
Well, Clint was a 1. That's rare.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
That's the part. That's rare.
He decided.
Check out this episode where Clint likes beer.
I'm just excited that
It's a new promo.
I was excited to know that he liked the Viking medal in number 2. That was pretty impressive.
He loves number 2. Who does number 2 work for?
I hate you all. I don't even know why I do these podcasts.
You are a comic relief.
It's because you host.
Yeah, you also have the biggest house.
Yeah.
All right.
So yeah, thanks everybody for joining us. We had a great time at Jester King. 1s all around. I can actually say that this time.
I was going to say special thanks for
to Jeff Stuffings. Great time. Great talking to him. I wish we could talk to him longer. But we could probably go all night. All night long.
All night.
All night.
Chris Tucker.
We could probably get him again.
Yeah, I don't know.
hope.
That guy's a hard to get a hand get a hand on. Anyway. I don't know what else.
Don't know if you want to finish that sentence.
Anyway. But yeah, no. Really great talking to him. I feel lucky that we got a moment with him. But yeah, thanks everybody for joining us. Thanks,
Jester
guys, King. Jester King, you guys, Clint for putting up with everything. I guess he doesn't know why he does this anymore. But anyway, yeah. So
because I fucking hate you all.
He's a glutton for punishment.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah, this has been Ross.
This is Cutter.
This is Clint.
This is Tony.
Joel's there. And this has been the podcast.
This is the podcast.
3 Beers In is a proud member of the Hopped Up Network. Thanks for sticking around. You can subscribe to us on iTunes, Stitcher, Podbean, Google Play, TuneIn, and on the hoppedupnetwork.com. If you like what you heard, rate and review us on iTunes. Like us on Facebook. Follow us on Instagram and Twitter at 3 Beers In Podcast, and check out our website, 3beersinpodcast.com. 3 beersinpodcast.com. You can find information about us and the show along with the links to all of our episodes and our really cool merchandise. While you're on our site, you can tell us what you like, what you don't like. And if you don't like us, then why the hell are you still here? You should have turned us off long ago. But if you're just going to listen to us anyway, then you should probably subscribe too. And if you would like a transcript of our podcast, write down everything that we just said.
And up until that point, I was just drinking Natural Light.
On the Pints and Provisions podcast, we discuss the ins and outs of beer, brewing, and breweries, in addition to all those crafts that pair well with beer, such as bourbon, coffee, food, and cooking. Join Evan, Ryan, Mark, and Dan on each episode where we discuss those crafts we love to imbibe. Here's a clip.
I've got 4 full glasses over here. I need to figure out my glass situation before I pour this.
You're the one asking for more. Your own glasses.
Yeah, he was the one that said, "What's next?"
Well, there's a bunch sitting out. I thought maybe I thought we were going to get those going, but
we are proud members of the Hopped Up Network, where you can find all our episodes, and also look for us on iTunes, Google Play, Podbean.com, as well as Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Cheers.